Clarion Call. To return to the conference, press star. To start conference recording, press 1. To return to the recording started. Well, good evening and welcome to the Kingdom Clarion Call. This is Dr. K, your host, along with Lady Joy, and we are so glad you have joined us this night. We are launching two new platforms, Facebook as well as YouTube, and hopefully you saw the information out there how to see us on YouTube as well as Facebook. This will be recording number 322, and I'll introduce our guest. She's very dear to my heart here momentarily, but I want to thank all of you in the USA as well as Belize, Haiti, the Bahamas, Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, Dubai, as well as Cameroon that will also be joining us via one of the platforms. Tonight, I'm not going to read her bio, you have it, but I just want to say that as a little girl, she always had attributes and just displayed that she was one who was going to be an up and coming leader. She was so prissy when she was a little girl, always loved to dress up, always was with beauty, just really was very well kempt with her hair and other things. And she definitely knew how to save money. So she is an entrepreneur. She owns her own Forward Lash Studios, as well as she is a beauty consultant, as well as a facilitator. I'm going to ask everybody to mute your call so that there will not be any background noise. So without further ado, I present to some Alisa. She's going to do our enterprise business moments, and she's going to talk about new perspectives, paradigms, and pivots beyond the coronavirus. Lisa, welcome to you lead. I'm sorry, welcome to the Kingdom Clarion Call Global Network.
Well, thank you very much for that intro. Of course, since you're my dad, you are going to embellish my accolades. And I appreciate you being proud of me. It's so funny. I'm not a beauty consultant, everyone. I do have a business in the beauty industry, though. But carrying on, yes, I'm excited to speak about, like you said, the paradigms, the new perspectives, and what I call, pivoting amidst what's happened with this global epidemic crisis that we've all experienced one way or another. And so, we do have to live life beyond this. Life does have to move on. Life does have to always move forward. Whether we desire to do that or not, it is something that does have to happen. And so, what I absolutely want to do is just go ahead and give my thesis or my overall point first, so that no matter what, if at any point my points are not clear, I want to make sure it's very evident my main mission for this whole call and broadcast, which is I want to encourage people to position their mind and their movement to prosper financially, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, despite unforeseeable issues. And I believe we'll all do this through having gratitude, adaptation, and execution. And so those are my three main points. So I'm going to repeat that. The thesis of today's call is to position your mind and your movement to prosper financially, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, despite unforeseeable issues or detriments or catastrophes, through gratitude, adaptation, and execution. So that's the main theme. And then also, I absolutely would be remiss if I did not address and clarify what this message is not. Okay, so this message is not to, admonish people who are in a moment of despair, because there are those who have experienced, extreme or significant loss before the coronavirus outbreak. And definitely during. So some people have lost jobs, wages, businesses. A lot of us know someone that at least knows someone that has lost their life due to coronavirus. And some of us, we know people who have lost loved ones that has nothing to do with the coronavirus. And so the timing of all of this can um, make you just not even really know what to do outside of um, getting up and making sure you're eating and just grooming. Like for you, if all you can do is eat and shower and put one foot in front of the other, I understand that. And I actually have my own self been in that mode where this is a time that I've needed complete rest, complete restoration. I have needed to relax and regenerate myself. And so, again, whatever you need to do the best you can. Even if that's just getting outside to let sun, touch your skin. If that's all you can do to move forward in this moment because of devastation or despair that you've experienced, understood. However, the purpose of this message is to bring light to the fact that because of this epidemic and because it has affected the way that life is lived and business is approached, almost in every single industry, we all have to adapt and respond to the changes that COVID-19 has inevitably caused. So, getting right into my first point, I want to discuss gratitude. Just being grateful that you are still alive, that you do have physical health or mental health, or if you unfortunately were infected or just dealing with the regular cold and flu symptoms, that you were able to get over it and your immune system responded quickly. Either way it goes, having gratitude, because having health is wealth. Wealth cannot be enjoyed, and in some cases, it can't even be passed down if you don't have health. So, starting with a grateful heart and a grateful attitude for any and all goodness you see in front of you gives you, or I should say, fuels you to start making, other moves that are necessary to move forward and despite, COVID. And so that brings me into my next point, which is adaptation. Getting through life in general, it would really behoove someone to understand how to adapt and how to pivot. And what I mean by pivot is, walking in one direction and then responding to a roadblock, or maybe new information that should change the direction you are moving in order to properly and prosperously move forward. So I'm going to repeat that. Pivoting or adapting is something that I feel just in life in general, we should all, adopt, if you will. And pivoting is when we can be walking in one direction and then respond to either a roadblock or new information that should change the direction you're moving in order to properly and prosperously move forward. And so I'm going to go ahead and just give a few examples of many times that I've had to adapt. But before I do that, if you're in business, the only way to thrive, let alone survive in business, if you are a small business owner, is you absolutely have to master marketing and innovation. So whether it's a service or a product that you sell, you have to know how to market or, you definitely have to know how to market, but you also have to learn innovation and how to do a new and improved version of whatever it is that you're doing. If you don't have those two pieces, it will be very, very, very hard to thrive. And I want to touch more on the innovation part. Innovation and the way the world responds to information that's put in front of them is something that has to keep happening because, we're in this information age. And so you really can't have any business without having some sort of website or some sort of online presence. So that would be an example of an adaptation that someone from, a generation that had an accounting firm or a car dealership or a hair salon or just any type of business, 20 years ago, you were definitely able to function and have those entities without just a website, for example. But in any event, some examples from my life of where I had to adapt was just in transitioning from corporate America into the beauty industry. Um, I did both hair and now I specialize in individual eyelash extensions. And, before going into the beauty industry as a licensed cosmetologist, I had to, or I didn't have to, I did work as an agent for New York Life Insurance Company after I graduated from the great University of Texas at Austin. Hook 'em horns to my Longhorns that are on the line right now. But yeah, after I graduated from there, I, went into sales and I did, um, some financial products that I sold. And then I also worked for LegalZoom. And the mode that had to be in, it's very, very professional, of course. And you have to respond to emails in a very timely manner. You have to follow the chain of command. There are certain protocols that you have to um, follow. There's just a general system, if you will, that you have to follow in order to exist in corporate. Going to conferences, going to meetings, whether it be in person conferences or teleconferences. You just have to understand how that world works. And then it's, tends to be pretty fast paced. And so you have to be on your toes at all times. It would behoove you if you're in that environment, I think, to not be so laxed. Because oftentimes, if you're in a medium to, large corporation, things do need to move fast. Whereas in the beauty industry, things move a lot slower uh, as it pertains to how you deal with the person in front of you. So, moving from client to client, that part moves fast. However, when they're in your presence, you do have to be very slow and very warm and very tender and pay attention to their needs and listen to what their desires are. And you just have to transition from corporate America. Otherwise, if you keep that same mindset in the way that you move, you could appear a little bit more stoic or just a little low on the EQ, the emotional intelligence. And so the reason why I'm bringing this specific adaptation up is because a client coming in to say my lash business or any beauty business, they absolutely need to feel very warm. They need to feel a warm atmosphere that's very inviting. They need to feel very heard. They need to feel like you're not just rushing through their process without tender love and care, because it is going to affect the referral rate that you get, which overall we all know that word of mouth is the best way or I may not be able to say best now. And let me actually catch myself, because there's so many different ways to advertise and market your business nowadays. But word of mouth is definitely free. So if you're able to have something that people rant and rave about for free, that is just a golden benefit that every, business owner, small, medium, or large, appreciates. So that's one example of where I had to adapt and pivot. But then most recently, I did relocate to Florida. I moved with my dad's side of the family, actually, to open a med spa business, which, in all honesty, I actually feel can still happen. I'm not really sure when. I just know that during and after a global crisis where people's health has been significantly affected, may not be the best time to open, a med spa where you would be directly in front of clients the same way doctors are in a hospital. So there's a pause on that. And when I paused, I did choose to pivot temporarily and actually come back to Austin, Texas, where my Forward Latch studio, at least the first location, is located. And so what I chose to do was reach back out to the clients that are here that actually never wanted me to leave in the first place, to see, when things go back to normal, would you have me? And of course the answer was absolutely. So that's a pivot. I adapted to my environment in Florida, which was lovely for me, but then I also, because of the crisis, I had to pivot and move in the direction of go, to what's definitely secure, and or I don't know if I should say secure, because I think we in general have a very um, false sense of security in a lot of things, but for lack of for better terms, proven. I have credibility already with the clientele in Austin. And so while I've been here in this quarantine time, I have followed up on a lash course, a advanced training lash course workshop that I did want students to attend in person. However, now that I have this time, I have actually been able to develop an online lash training course. And so that requires, a lot of videos that have to be pre-recorded, a lot of editing, a lot of photography, things that I can actually do in the privacy of my own home, that requires a lot of writing, and that requires almost kind of going back into the focusness and concentration that I had to have when I was in the corporate field, that I no longer needed, as far as being, I should say, studious in nature as far as the writing component is concerned, in a daily salon type of environment. So, in any event, it's been very exciting to develop this course. I'm definitely putting my heart into it. Bigger than that, I'm putting my expertise into it to make sure that anyone that, purchases these online products, even if they never meet me in person, they will definitely know this person knows what they're talking about. And so, getting into my last point, is the execution piece, is actually doing it, picking up um, the free classes that you see online, signing up for webinars that you see on, well, how do you even produce an online course? Or how do I even set up a video? How do I set up a Zoom call? All of those things are very available to people right now. And then, speaking of Zoom, you have, I believe, Facebook even has a way to do live conference calls now. You can even do some form of conference calling on WhatsApp. There's even this StreamYard that we have for this conference call that we're doing right now. These are all new ways that the world is communicating with other people. And this is a way that business owners can communicate with, their clientele or their customer base. And so that is what I'm talking about, is because of COVID, it has changed the way everyone's going to have to get used to communicating. And so even if you are a person who, just never foresaw yourself being, too tech savvy and or needing to do all of this, you do have to adjust or you will get left behind. So, you know, even if you don't make your money online or you don't have a tech business per se, like for example, my lash business, the service part of the business, I still have to use um, companies like MailChimp, which is a way that you can communicate an email campaign to people that would like to subscribe to, any information you want to put out there. Or Canva.com is a place that I go to develop and design some of my marketing materials. I also use Google Voice to set up a separate number for my business lines. So, the list goes on, but there are definite ways that you can learn, even for free during this time, of how to show up and perform after COVID-19 ends. And I don't know what after COVID-19 ends even means. I don't know what that looks like. I would imagine that, will likely be enduring some kind of effect for at least the rest of 2020. But what this is going to do, though, is make us have to do life and business differently. And so understanding right now that this would be a good time, if you're emotionally able to, if you're mentally able to tap into some of those free resources to just even learn how to do that, so that you can be in position to compete and perform. This would definitely be a great time to do it, and understand that because of the time that we're in, you will have to do it ultimately. So that's, I believe you allotted 22 minutes for me, and I believe that's all I have on that.
Okay, Lisa, thank you very much. What we're going to do, we're going to field some questions. And so you can just state your first name and where you're calling from. And you're going to have to, someone did mute their phones the whole while we were hearing breathing. And I didn't mute the call, so I didn't want to interrupt Elisa. So everyone, please mute your phone, *6, or I'll mute it. And hold on.
Muted.
Okay, unmute yourself, and if you're on the phone, you can ask your question. Just hit *6, and then I'll have to read it to Lisa. I'll just repeat it back to Lisa. Okay? Any questions?
Unmuted. Hello. Muted. Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Ron. Is that Ron? Hello? Go ahead. You're on. Go ahead. Yes, I can.
Yes, this is Porter from West Palm, and I just got to say, wow.
Okay, that's your comment.
Everybody know me as
Okay, that all right, Lisa. That was Manny, and so he was from West Palm Beach. He wanted to just say that that was a wow presentation. All right, any
Thank
questions
you.
from anyone?
yes, Lisa.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
And my question for you is, at what point did you know that you have to
Did you hear the question, Lisa?
Okay, the question was, at what point did I know I needed to pivot once I was in Florida?
Once you returned from Florida.
Okay, so I believe the question, okay, I'm going to just answer what I think you're asking. So when I was in Florida, when I knew I needed to pivot back to Austin, was when, the lash studio that I rented out, when that building was shut down and there was no foreseeable um, open date, just because of the way everything was moving with the outbreak of the disease, and the non-essential business ban uh, was definitely nowhere near being lifted. And although that was something that I believe was nationwide, at least, my mindset was, even though this is going to be the same circumstance in Texas, people are going to be moving slow, a lot slower than they would if this issue was not the case. So I would rather be in a place where, if they're going to move slow and come back to what's familiar to them, I would rather be in a place that I already have credibility and have proven, my skill and my expertise, because I have a clientele in Austin. Whereas in Florida, I would have been still building. I would have been in the very extreme infancy stage. So that's my answer for that. And then, as far as uh, if you were asking about, once I was in Austin, when did I know I needed to pivot to developing an online lash training course? Well, the answer to that would be, as soon as I realized that a lot of people are going to be seeking out online education in general, inside and outside of my industry. That's kind of already where things were moving. But even things such as a very specialized skill set, such as individual lashes, there's still ways that you can, work with the mannequin head and have a video and camera set up to try to show exactly what you're doing. So something is better than nothing in that type of, situation. Did that answer
Okay,
your question? I think it answered your
yes,
question, I hope.
yes. Did you hear that, DV?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay,
Wonderful. Thank you for the
he said
question.
you answered his question. Okay, another caller. Just state your name and where you're calling from.
This is George. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
My question is, please, first of all, excellent presentation. Thank you so much for that. And if you had to give advice to someone who is considering making a move or changing their business, what would you say that helps you to get over any fear or challenges that you may face? Are there any particular things that you have done to deal with fear and apprehension when making changes like you've had to do?
Thank you very much for that question. I'm delighted to answer that. I would say the number one, there are a couple of things that I do, but the number one thing that I do is, the company that I keep is a huge influence on how I move, in life in general, but definitely in business. I hang out a lot with people who are already in business, who have been in business successfully way longer than I have, or are better at, you know, something in their field than me. And then also, even if they don't own a business per se, they may have a skill set in an industry where they're one of the best at what they do. So whether it's, them being a physician, or they own, excuse me, not own, but they might be a doctor, they might be an engineer, or they might be an attorney. Even if they don't own the business, they're very they're very dedicated and diligent in their work. So number one is I hang out with them to sharpen me. And then the other thing is I'm a big believer of just doing it and not allowing it being perfect paralyze you from doing it. The other thing is I don't spend a lot of time talking about my goals. I really try to just execute on them and be prepared to fail. And I just use failure as intel. I don't really view failure at all as like a finality or like a final destination. It's more so, okay, I fell here, I had this hurdle. Now, again, here's that word pivot. Now I know how to pivot and, change directions to make whatever I was attempting be a better attempt next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
All
very
right, two more
welcome. Thanks for the
questions,
question.
and then we'll have Karen Ledbetter pray over Lisa, and then your family's on the call, and I'm going to have them show you some love like they did April. This is on, your mother's side of the family that are granddaddy and all of those on the call, and we'll let them say something to you. Anybody has a question from the family? Okay.
I have a question. I have a question for Lisa.
Go ahead.
Okay.
This is Karen Ledbetter. Lisa, what advice would you give to somebody who's seriously thinking about starting a new business at this time?
Okay, so just repeating the question back to you, you'd like to know what is my advice to someone thinking about starting a new business?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the question. So my advice is to figure out if you are a service provider, if your business would be providing any type of service, or if it's a product, making sure that you have well researched whatever that product would be. So, in other words, doing your homework on the product. If it's a software product, have you tested, the bugs? Have you figured out, is this in, good enough form to be released? Because sometimes while we are in the education stage, meaning we're getting educated or getting our training on whatever, whatever you want to release right after being educated, it could still be the beta version of whatever you're doing. And so there's nothing wrong with that time period. But, you want to be honest with yourself and say, is this really releasable to where someone would want to actually purchase this? And then if you are providing a service, you want to ask yourself, am I now an expert in this, or can I identify if someone is working for me or they would be working for me in this business, are they an expert in it? If you're providing a service, whether it could be anything from being a car mechanic to being a dentist to what I do, which is being in the beauty industry, my advice for that is don't open the business until you are very good at what you do. Maybe spend some more time working under someone and apprentice and be a protege to someone before you actually open the business. But either way it goes, whether it's a product or a service, I would recommend getting your hands wet, dirty, get in there, period, to actually spend time smelling it, tasting it, hearing it, seeing it over and over and over again.
And also, I would like to add, Karen, this is what was told to me by a successful person that had 21 business, is that you must believe in your product and you must believe in yourself. If you don't believe in your product and you don't believe in yourself, chances are not everybody else will be believe in you as well. So I wanted to just add that as well. You must believe in what you are selling, or that service, or that product, as well as yourself. All right, one more question for Alisa Joy, and then we're going to let Lisa give out her contact information. We'll let her family say hello, and then Karen, you can pray for her and give her any prophetic words that the Lord has. And Marina will come on and pray for businesses, because here in Texas, they'll be opening up businesses on the 3rd of May, and other people that want to launch businesses, they can have that courage to just go for it. And then Pastor George will pay for several people that have lost loved ones. I'll call their names when the time comes. One more question, please. You're not muted, so you can just state your name and where you're calling from. Okay, no more questions. So Lisa, give your contact information. You are doing webinars, you do consultation, and how can someone get with you? You worked in different industries before you launch your own businesses. You were in sales, you worked at LegalZoom. And so how can someone get in contact with you if they would like to procure your services as a consultant, or just to be an encourager to them during this pivotal time in their lives?
Wonderful. So I can give out my website. I have a website at www.forwardlash.com. That's where my information is available, as far as, my online courses and such. And then I can be emailed at Alisa, and that's spelled ALIS as in Sam, A, at forwardlash.co as in company.
Okay, repeat that one more time.
The website is www.forwardlash.com. And then the email address I can be reached at is Alisa at forwardlash.co, as in CO, like company.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Does any family member want to say anything, or shout out to Lisa? You did an outstanding job tonight, and
Thank you.
great communicator, very articulate, and we're so proud of you. All right, family, let's show us some love. All right. Nobody's saying anything. All right, Karen, go ahead.
Well, glory to God. Alisa, I want to say congratulations for your confidence in yourself and your ability to hear God, to make the move at the right time, to go where you are accepted and received. That was a wise move, in my opinion. And I feel as though that you are going to be a great mentor for many young people that want to move into the field of service in the cosmetic and makeup and service in that area with, hairstyle and fashion and beauty. That's an awesome gift. You've taken the time to study and to move forward in that field. But I really sense in the spirit that I just heard all these F words from you, and I just want to share them because I hear your strength. I hear the strength in your voice, and I hear the strength in your tried and true methods of moving forward. I love the fact that you're not afraid to fail, and I perceive failure as another stepping stool to move forward. You're solid, you're sincere, you're strategic, you're forward moving, and you're very creative. And I believe the Lord is going to be using this season to not only further your business, but also further your stand with the Lord and be be able to use these gifts as a means of one-on-one with other leaders and other young people, especially I'm sensing young people, young women, young men, that you'll be coming in contact with, and you'll be able to be a mentor and somebody who stands out as someone who shines like a star. And I feel like that you already have a heart, like a mother's heart, to embrace them. And I just want to encourage you in that. Does that bear witness with you, Alisa?
Absolutely. I receive every word. I thank you so much for the specific words, too. Thank you. I definitely feel it rings true.
All right, Karen, go ahead and pray.
Okay, Father God, I just thank you for this woman of God. I thank you for this family. I thank you for Alisa Joy, who her name means strength. And I pray, Lord God, that in this season you will cover her with strength and just be a light to her, Lord God. Let her love for you be the thing that shines and outshines more than anything else in this season. Father, I ask you to bless her. I ask you to bless her with health and joy and strength and also financial blessings. I call in financial blessings into your household right now so that you would be able to expand and you would be able to move forward into some new things. Because I sense in the spirit right now that even though you've been moving in this field and you've had your hands on other fields, you have in mind there's something else that is way out there that you've been thinking about that you would like to put your finger on in the future. And I feel like the Lord is saying, don't drop that dream, don't drop it. It's something that He's put on the inside of you, and He's going to help you move forward into that arena at the right time. Just listen for His voice and stay confident because He's going to open the doors at the right time and at the right season. Father, bless her family, and continue to move her forward in these dreams and these visions that she has in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right. So Janelle would like to say something. You're not muted, so hit *6. And
Okay, and
April would like to say
it
something.
says that we need to speak louder. Nadine, is that message for me? Okay. Whoever just spoke, if we can
Go
speak
ahead,
louder.
Janelle. Go ahead, Janelle. Speak louder. Janelle?
Alisa, keep up the good work.
Thank you very, very much.
All right. Dr. April, *6. That's everybody's unmuted. Okay. Prophetess Marina.
I didn't hear April.
She didn't. I heard somebody clicking.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's Thomas. Okay, Thomas, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to tell Lisa she did a good job. Keep up the good work. And it was very, very good presentation.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. So nobody's muted, so I don't know why they're having difficulties talking. All right. So, Prophetess Marina, go ahead and pray for people that they will have the courage to start new businesses. Pray for safety. Pray for the businesses as we open, and just pray for the wisdom of God in all that we do during this time.
Father God, in the name of Jesus, I want to say it was a pleasure, woman of God, listening to you release the word today. It was so awesome. And I just want you to know that God is going to use you on a much bigger platform. And I want you to hear me very clearly. A much bigger platform so that a bigger sound can go forth. And I prophesy today over your life in Jesus' name. Father God, I thank you for the businesses. I thank you, Father God, for the wisdom of God. I thank you for the wisdom of knowing. A noetic anointing. Let's fall upon our nation, God. Let's fall upon our businesses. Let's fall upon our churches. Let's fall, Father God, upon the individual, your people of God. Father God, Father, that's what the enemy wants. He wants somebody upright. But I come against you. I snatch you and take authority over you by the blood of Jesus Christ. I release the blood. I release the voice of the blood in the name of Jesus. And I decree and declare that we will rise up as a people. We will stand as Noah did. And we will believe God. And we will stay at our ark. And we will stay at our altar. And we will not come out until you say so. In the name of Jesus. And we will hear your voice clearly. In Jesus' name. Amen and amen.
Pray for the new businesses to come forth and the inventors out there, the new fresh ideas.
In Jesus' name, Father, I thank you.
Amen. All right. Well, today was a very somber day for my best friend and good friend and my best man, Derek. A week ago, his father died, and Sunday, his mom died, stepmother, and they had a virtual grave site today. They couldn't go to the funeral of honor. If you will say something, and Pastor George, you will. He has his family there. We need to pray for family members have lost members. Pastor George, pray for that ER nurse. I'm sure, doctor, everybody saw this on the news, how she was treating a lot of people and committed suicide. Let's come against that spirit of suicide and weirdness. Our first responders, as well as the medical providers, they are tired. And so we want to come against suicide, and we want to pray for all other families, but specifically the Vonner family as they are grieving. This was really a double whammy. And I read the other day another husband and wife, 6 days apart. They died, and the family had to bury them. There's a lot of witness. Okay, let Derek say something if he desires before you pray, and then we'll have April, if she's on, say something, and then Lady Joy, and then we'll close. All right, Elder Vonner, God bless. Are you there? Okay, he's crying. All right, Pastor George, let the, yes, go ahead. Okay. All right. April, are you back on the phone?
April is joining in from our StreamYard broadcast, so
Okay. All right. Go
she's not
ahead. She
on the
can
call.
speak. All right. Go ahead. Speak on StreamYard.
No. What I'm saying is she's on Facebook from our StreamYard, so she cannot actually speak
Oh,
into the
okay.
call. Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. Lady Joy. Yes. Go ahead.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Tomorrow is the 1st of May, a new month, a new day. The fifth month, favor and grace will come to you in May. And I want to close with a quote. I want to thank you, Alisa Joy, for this outstanding presentation. We'll have many other entrepreneurs on that are millennials. They'll be speaking with us. Be patient with these platforms. I'm not a millennial. I don't know what to do. I got somebody working behind the scene, and so I'm going to get some more tutorial, and we'll perfect this. We just launched this yesterday, and so be patient with us. And next week, Karen Ledbetter will speak on Monday night, and Lady Joy on Thursday night, leading into Mother's Day. We salute all of the mothers that are workers as well as having to be teachers. The government needs to be paying you a double stimulus, a triple stimulus payment. So we salute all of the mothers, and we're gonna next week will be your week, mothers. That your teachers now and nursery workers and everything, and still you have to maintain a job. Uh, Booker T. Washington said this, that it was said about him, he lifted the veil of ignorance and pointed his people toward education and industry. So tonight broadcast was about education and industry. And don't forget your true source. Everything you need comes through people from God. God is your source. People are merely his chosen channels. God may use various people to benefit you, but never forget to be thankful and grateful to the true source, your Heavenly Father. Appreciation authorizes intimacy. This is by Mike Murdoch, and you have a thankful, you have a tremendous, and you have a triumphant, as well as a great Thursday. God bless you.
God bless. Thank you.